Good morning, good morning. This is Max from the Listener's Voice. Hope you guys are doing well. So I thought I would start off the day with a share from a conversation that I was having with my wife. And I think it's relevant because the origin of the conversation was basically another hurdle that I needed to overcome in order to really get the wheels rolling in this podcast adventure that I have embarked upon. So long story short, I used a painting of a paint and sip wine tasting that my wife and I went to, and I used it to show how I was having difficulty moving forward in my podcast adventures because I was contemplating how I was going to monetize and be able to, make what I believe is a decent profit and able to say that it's successful. And until I was certain on what that monetization would look like, not that it needed to be a large amount right away, more so that it would be a steady growth and that I wouldn't be spinning wheels and wasting the time of myself, my resources, or those around me, and also doing a disservice to those who are committing to being a listener and a participant in my ideas, that I didn't get frustrated and walk away because it didn't turn out like I thought. So, it's just kind of a way that I function. I'm a very long-term thinker and a very rapid pace. I like to see the end outcome as clear as possible so that I can alleviate any potential pitfalls along the way. And basically, not lose time to making corrections that I feel could have been avoided with a little bit more foresightfulness. So I share that, and this is where we kind of transition because she said, let me give you what I got from that. And she did. She shared some thoughts, and it basically came down to her letting me know that her interpretation of it was that I was questioning my faith in that I didn't need to know everything, and that I just needed to have faith in that whatever it is that I want to happen will happen. And, I'm like, okay, I can see that. And for a moment, I found myself giving a form of a rebuttal and saying, but I don't think it's anything to do with faith. It's, I just want to know which direction I'm going so that I can focus my efforts in the right direction, and I can reset where I'm at right now and say, okay, this is where we need to be going because now we know the end result. And therefore, now we can backtrack and say, no, this is where effort needs to be, and this is where I need to focus, and this is that, and this and the other, instead of, not having an end goal. Without order, there's chaos, and the only way to have order is to have an agenda. You call order to any meeting of minds to discuss the agenda. So there has to be order. If everyone's talking, no one's heard. And hey, we are the listener's voice, so we want to be heard and we want to hear. To wrap that part up, she returned to it and said that you don't have to have control over everything. You have to just, have faith that it's going to be. You have to believe that it's going to be, and just go forward knowing that it's going to manifest. And in that moment, I said to myself, hey, Max, that's her faith. And that's her way of committing to her faith. And it's her expression of faith. And what she's doing right now is sharing with you that she feels that that would be helpful to you as well, that you should have that level of faith, and that if you do that, then things will work out. Well, and I thought, hey, that's how she feels. And I basically left it at that and said, well, I can see where you're coming from. And that definitely helps me understand how you came to the interpretation that you did. And I thought that was a good place to leave it, because what I didn't want to do, and now we're coming around to what our topic is going to be, and it's going to be on faith. At that point, I had to ask myself, does she not think I have any form of faith in anything? And I was like, well, no, we've had these discussions before. So she knows that I'm a person that's very spiritually driven. I'm just definitely not of the conventional forms of faith. Because first of all, I believe that there is a stark difference between faith and religion. A very wise person once said to me a long time ago, they said, you can have religion and not have a bit of faith in the world, because religion is a practice. You know, people go to football games religiously, and in that, they do it on a regular basis. And that's the same thing. To go to worship, or, you know, to go to mosque, or to go to wherever religiously, is not an expression of faith or a practice of faith. It is a form of tribalism. You go to meet up with those that share the same beliefs, but faith is a belief. And I think everyone has a belief in something. And, you know, whatever their form of deity is that for them. And within that, you know, you have to ask yourself, are you capable of accepting that same thing, in that everyone doesn't have the same faith that you subscribe to? And in addition to that, even those that do subscribe to the same version of faith that you that you do subscribe to, they may practice it differently. You know, they may have a different concept. I mean, look at the different interpretations of Christianity that we have. And then the different forms of religious practices of faith, you know. So it breaks down in that sense when I give thought to it, as well as, you know, like, are we capable of being okay with someone expressing their faith differently than we do? Can we just say, all right, well, that's your way. And can we not get into a back and forth with each other? Or do we, at some point, become crusaders? You know, the Bible thumpers, the let me tell you why my Lord has been good to me. And if you do the same thing, he'll be good to you too. You know, and the only thing I would offer is, in these moments when we're so steadfast on offering the benefits of our faith, can we take a moment to pause and consider that our audience is giving us the courtesy of not imposing theirs on us, and that maybe we should be equally as courteous and be happy that we're allowed to practice our faith without question or advice. That's all, because I know it's hard to be a listener, so I'm your voice. Talk to y'all later.